Hand over your debit card. That is what a criminal is effectively asking every time you swipe it, because unlike any other payment tool in your wallet, that card is a direct pipeline to the account where your income lands every single month. Not a credit line someone else extends to you, not a pending hold on a bank's balance sheet, your actual money. The cash your Social Security check deposited, the funds your pension transferred, the balance your mortgage payment is scheduled to pull from in 9 days. And when that pipeline gets breached, the money does not pause while someone investigates. It leaves first. Every automatic payment, every utility bill, every insurance premium keeps moving on its own schedule while your account sits at whatever number a criminal left it at. Most people hearing this carry one belief that makes them feel protected. My bank covers fraud. And that belief is accurate as far as it goes. What it does not account for is the sequence. The money exits the moment the transaction posts. The protection process begins after. Between those two events, your financial life does not stand still. Today, we are going through why debit card fraud lands with particular force on retirees, the federal rule governing your actual legal rights that most people have never read, and a specific account arrangement that permanently walls off your retirement income from every gas pump, restaurant terminal, and online checkout in the country. It takes one phone call to put in place. Before anything else, I want to dismantle 3 assumptions that cause people to tune out at this point, because all 3 are inaccurate and all 3 are expensive to carry. The first assumption is that you check your account regularly, so you would spot fraud quickly. What you will spot is the damage already done. The transaction posts the moment it happens. A card number harvested by a skimmer at a fuel pump 3 weeks ago can generate a $2,400 withdrawal at 3 in the morning on the exact calendar date your mortgage payment is scheduled to clear. You discover it at 9 in the morning when your phone rings because the payment was returned. The money has been gone for 6 hours by then. The second assumption is that bank fraud protection means you are made whole immediately. Your bank has a process. What your bank does not have is a legal obligation to restore your funds while that process runs. Federal law permits the investigation to run 10 business days before provisional credit is required. If any element of the transaction crosses international channels, that window extends to 45 days. Your rent, your power bill, your prescription automatic payment, and your supplemental insurance premium are not aware of any of this. The third assumption is that this risk belongs to people who shop online or use their cards carelessly. FICO reported that more than 243,000 debit cards were compromised by skimming in a single recent year, a number that increased 5% year over year. Skimming is by definition a physical attack executed at locations you visit in person and trust. Gas stations, bank machines, restaurants where a server walks your card out of your sight line for less than a minute to process it at a terminal across the room. The transaction records perfectly. You authorized it. Your signature is on the receipt. Your card number is already copied before you finish your coffee. Later in this video, I am going to walk you through the 2-account system that people inside the financial industry have used privately for decades to ensure that no skimmer, no data breach, and no overnight criminal transaction can ever reach the account where their income lands. It requires one phone call. Hold on to that, because every risk I am about to describe connects to the same solution. Here is something your bank has a structural reason never to tell you. Every debit card transaction generates revenue for your bank from the merchant. The volume of those transactions determines the size of that revenue. The branch representative who has known you by name for a decade has no financial incentive to sit across a desk from you and explain that the card you use most frequently carries the weakest legal protections of any payment instrument in your wallet and the highest potential to instantly drain your checking account. That conversation works against the bank's interests, so it does not happen. That is not a hidden agenda. It is a straightforward business calculation. Adding to this, Congress voted in 2026 to roll back rules that would have capped overdraft fees at $5. Americans paid more than $12 billion in overdraft and returned payment fees in the prior year. The institutions collecting those fees profit directly from the same payment method they have no incentive to caution you about. Here is the comparison your bank will not present to you directly. When fraud occurs on a debit card, the money vacates your account at the moment of the transaction. If you identify and report it within 2 days, your legal exposure under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act is capped at $50. Wait beyond 60 days from when your statement reflected the fraudulent transaction and your exposure expands to include everything the criminal took. During the investigation, which federal law permits to run 10 business days or longer, your account remains at exactly the balance the fraud left it. When fraud occurs on a credit card, the charge never contacts your money at all. It sits as a disputed item on a credit line that belongs to the issuer, not to your bank account. You owe nothing on it during the dispute. Every major card issuer reverses it immediately upon report. Your checking account is never involved. One payment method moves your money before anyone asks a question. The other one never moves your money at all. That distinction is the entire conversation your bank is not having with you. Here is how this plays out in reality. A 67-year-old retiree receives her Social Security deposit on the 3rd of the month. The total is $2,711. She uses her debit card for groceries, fuel, and a handful of monthly subscriptions. On the night of the 4th, a criminal deploys her card number, captured weeks earlier by a skimmer at a gas station she visited routinely, and executes 4 transactions totaling $1,620 at retail locations in another state. The transactions complete in minutes. She wakes on the 5th to an account balance of $451. She contacts the bank immediately and reports the fraud. An investigation opens. The bank has 10 business days under federal law to provisionally restore her funds. Some institutions act faster. Many exercise the full window they are legally permitted. Her mortgage payment of $890 processes on the 10th. Returned. Her utility payment of $140 processes on the 12th. Returned. Her supplemental insurance premium of $210 processes on the 15th. Returned. Each returned item triggers a bank fee running $34 to $35 at the institutions most seniors use. Each creditor adds its own returned payment charge. By the time the investigation closes and her funds are reinstated, she has absorbed more than $100 in bank fees, more than $75 in creditor charges, a returned payment notation in her insurance file, and nearly 2 weeks of individual phone calls to every creditor explaining a situation that was not her fault, that nobody warned her could happen, and that began with one card number exposed to one compromised terminal. The fraud was painful. The structural collapse that followed the fraud was what consumed her. Declined automatic payments, stacking fees, a notated insurance record, nearly 2 weeks of damage control, all of it traceable to one card connected directly to the account where her income lives. If your response to that scenario is that you have reserves and would weather it without the same impact, stay with me for the next few minutes. The strategy ahead is not exclusively for households operating close to the margin. It is for anyone who does not want a criminal in another state determining the timing of their financial disruption with one transaction executed at 3 in the morning while they are asleep. And the setup is a single phone call. The approach is called account separation, and it has been standard practice among financially sophisticated people for a long time, while the rest of the country was handed debit cards and wished good luck. Here is the structure. Your first account is your income account. Every deposit that arrives with your name on it lands here. Social Security, pension distributions, investment income, retirement account withdrawals, everything flows into this account and this account alone. No debit card attached to this account ever enters a merchant terminal. No card number from this account is ever stored at an online retailer. This is where your money lives, and it faces the commercial world as infrequently as possible. Your second account is your spending account. It carries its own separate debit card. You fund it periodically from your income account, $200 or $300 at a time, enough to cover your week's routine purchases. Groceries, fuel, coffee, incidentals. If a skimmer captures the spending account card number, the criminal gains access to whatever remains in the spending account. $200 or less, not your monthly income, not the account your automatic payments draw from. Not $2,711 in the middle of the night. Better still, replace the spending account debit card with a credit card used the same way. Not to carry a balance, not to pay $1 of interest. You use the credit card for every routine purchase and pay the full statement balance on the due date each month. Every transaction on that card is protected under the Fair Credit Billing Act, a federal statute that cannot be modified by any bank's internal policy decision. Zero liability for fraud, immediate reversal upon report. And your income account, the one your mortgage servicer and utility company and insurance carrier all draw from automatically, never encounters a merchant system at any point in your life. If you prefer not to use a credit card, the two-account debit arrangement accomplishes the same separation. The underlying principle is identical. Place a hard barrier between the account where your income accumulates and any account that faces commercial transactions. A criminal who breaches your spending account collects whatever small balance remains there. A criminal who breaches your income account collects your rent, your electricity, your medications, and your insurance premium in a single overnight session. One thing that frequently comes up at this point. Many people believe their bank's zero liability debit card policy provides equivalent protection to what a credit card delivers. Here is the specific difference that matters. The Fair Credit Billing Act protection on a credit card is federal legislation enacted by Congress. It cannot be altered by any bank without an act of Congress. Your bank's zero liability debit card policy is a voluntary internal commitment that the institution created and maintains at its own discretion. Banks have modified, narrowed, and conditioned their voluntary zero liability policies before. They will do so again when fraud loss volumes reach levels that make revision financially attractive. The people depending on a voluntary bank policy for protection are one internal memo away from a materially different situation than they believed they were in. There are 4 specific circumstances where a debit card remains the appropriate tool. Be exact about these because the objective is not to eliminate debit cards entirely. The objective is to deploy them only where they serve you well. ATM withdrawals at your own bank's machines. You are accessing your own cash directly, not transmitting your card number to a merchant system. Before inserting your card, spend 2 seconds examining the card slot. A legitimate reader is solidly integrated into the machine. If anything shifts or feels loose when you touch it, use a different machine or go inside. Shield your keypad with your hand when entering your PIN. The risk is real but manageable with 2 seconds of attention. Small local establishments that do not accept credit cards. Pay the minimum necessary for that transaction. Use your spending account card, not any card connected to your income account. Government agencies and utility providers that impose a credit card convenience fee of 2.5% to 3%. On a $200 payment, a 3% fee costs $6. If the same payment posts at no charge on a debit card, use the debit card, spending account only. Businesses offering a cash or debit discount, same rule. Spending account card exclusively. Those are the 4 appropriate uses. Everywhere else, the credit card or the spending account debit card is the correct instrument, never your income account card. 4 security practices belong on every debit card you keep active. Real-time transaction alerts set to trigger on every single transaction the moment it posts, regardless of amount. Not a daily summary, not a weekly digest. 1 notification the instant any charge hits. When a transaction you did not authorize appears, you know within seconds, not days. Call your bank today and confirm this is active on your account. If it is not running, ask them to activate it before you end the call. A daily spending limit below your bank's default. Most institutions assign default debit limits of $500 to $1,000 per day. Request a reduction to $200 or $300. This does not prevent larger planned purchases, which can be authorized individually with a quick call. It does mean a criminal holding your card number cannot execute $900 in transactions across 3 states between midnight and sunrise. No stored card numbers at online retailers. If a retailer's database is compromised and your card number is stored there, your checking account is the breach. Enter the number manually for each transaction or ask your bank about virtual card numbers if that option is available. Account review every 3 to 4 days. The 60-day window in the Electronic Fund Transfer Act is not lenient. Discovering fraud in week 7 places you inside the zone where your personal liability has already expanded. 3 minutes every few days. Open the application and scan the most recent transactions. Anything unrecognized triggers an immediate call. One final rule without exception: never use a debit card at a gas station pump. Walk inside and pay at the register or use a credit card at the pump. Fuel pump skimmers represent a disproportionate share of all debit card fraud documented by the FTC annually. The pumps stand unattended for extended periods. Modern skimming hardware has been miniaturized to the point where it installs inside the pump housing, invisible to any external inspection. A credit card at the pump costs you nothing additional and permanently removes the single highest risk swipe environment in daily life from your income account's exposure. Here is exactly how the phone call to establish this goes, because I want to remove every reason to delay this pass today. Call the customer service number on the back of your existing debit card or visit your branch in person if you prefer a face-to-face conversation. Tell them you want to open a second checking account linked to your existing one with its own separate debit card. Most banks complete this in the same call or the same branch visit, typically in under 15 minutes. Ask them to schedule automatic transfers from your primary account into the new spending account on a weekly or bi-weekly cycle, whatever amount covers your normal routine purchases. Once the spending account is open, update every automatic payment to confirm it draws from your income account, not your spending account. Mortgage servicer, utility providers, insurance carriers, Medicare supplement premiums, every recurring automatic payment should be anchored to the income account. The new spending account card is the only card that enters your wallet for daily use. While you are already connected with your bank in that same call or visit, ask 3 additional things. Request real-time transaction alerts on both accounts. Request a daily spending limit reduction on the spending account card to $200 or $300. And request written confirmation, an email or printed summary is sufficient, of your exact liability for unauthorized transactions on each account so you have documentation on file. That is the complete setup. One call, roughly 15 minutes. From that point forward, the account where your Social Security deposit lands is permanently separated from every fuel pump terminal, every restaurant card reader, and every online checkout system in existence. Here is the complete picture. Your debit card operates under a different and weaker set of federal protections than your credit card. During a fraud investigation, your money can remain out of reach for up to 10 business days, while your automatic payments continue processing and fees accumulate. Your bank's voluntary zero liability debit policy is an internal document, not a federal statute, and it can be revised without notifying you. The account separation strategy requires one phone call and permanently removes your primary income account from the reach of any merchant terminal and from the kind of overnight withdrawal that can clear a balance before you wake up. 4 situations justify debit card use: your own bank's ATM, businesses that do not accept credit, government or utility payments carrying credit card convenience fees, and cash discount situations. Those 4 and nothing else. Forward this to one person you know who still runs their monthly income and their daily spending through the same card. That single conversation might spare them $2,711 and 10 days of calls to creditors, while their bank runs an investigation they never knew was possible. That is what this channel exists to prevent. See you in the next one.